Okay. Okay, Mataji, Jyoti Mataji, now we can go. I'll start. You can stop the sharing the content. We will move to Agruras. Yeah, I'll have the word doc. I will share. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Are you able to see some verses? What about document?
Yes, Mataji. 10, 36, 16.
Very good. Okay,
Yeah,
very good. Okay. So now actually I request you, the Matajis, if you have Srimad Bhagavatam book, you can open 10th canto, 36th chapter. We will see from verse 16 the story starts, the pastime starts, main pastime of Akrura. So if you have the book or the Veda base or in your computer, whatever you want, please open it. Okay. So now, now we move directly to Vrindavan. Now Krishna is 10 years old. Okay, little more than 10 years. Krishna is in Vrindavan, and Arishtasura has been killed by Krishna. So this is the scene. Just to meditate on your mind. Krishna has already killed the Arishtasura's demon, and he is taking rest in Vrindavan forest. He is taking his lunch, and then Shukadeva Goswami moves the camera from Vrindavan to Mathura. So in Mathura, the focus is on now Kamsa's palace. Okay, Kamsa is situated there, and then the first personality in any of the Bhagavatam pastimes who enters. Can you say any one special personality who comes in all the pastimes? Who is that? Anybody can say?
Narad Muni?
our Narada Muni makes his appearance. So without Narada Muni, there is no pastime of Krishna. Krishna has decided no, nothing should be done without Narada Muni's presence. So Narada Muni, he comes to Kamsa's palace. So this is the first scene in Mathura. So we can now question why Narada Muni is coming to Kamsa's palace. So that is why Narada Muni and the other pure devotees of the cult, they are all called Dhira, Janakpriyo, which means Dhira and Adhira. Dhira means a sober person or a devotee. Adhira means a person who is always disturbed, like Kamsa, a demoniac personality. Janakpriyo, Narada Muni is very dear to both of them. He will enter Krishna's palace also. He will enter Kamsa's palace also. He will enter Hiranyakashipu's palace also. Everywhere Narada Muni is welcome because he is such a pure personality with a pure and innocent, straightforward and honest heart. That is why, just like small children, the small children you can see they can enter anywhere. No, there is no restriction. When children come, we don't restrict, you don't come here, you don't go there. The children have got the independence to move here and there, and we also allow and we enjoy seeing the children moving around here and there without permission also. This is because of the pure heartedness and the innocent nature of the children. That is the same with Narada Muni, who is called Dhira Janapriya. So he enters Kamsa's palace. And then and here Bhagavatam describes, you can see in 10:36:16, Narado Deva Darshanaha. So he is described as Deva Darshana. That is why there are so many mundane films we have, where Narada is portrayed in a very bad manner. That's like a person who creates gossip, who creates agitation, who speaks one thing here and speaks one thing there. This is without understanding. If you want to understand Narada Muni, we have to go to the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, where how pure devotee Narada is described. Here it says, Narado Deva Darshanaha. Deva Darshanaha means the Acharyas give very nice commentaries on this particular word of Deva Darshanaha. Deva Darshanaha means one who has got the darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is why it's called Deva Darshanaha. Also means one whose darshan is equivalent to having darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he is the representative of Krishna. That is also he is called Deva Darshanaha. Another meaning is seeing Narada Muni means seeing all the demigods, because Deva also means demigods. That in that way also he is Deva Darshanaha. Also means that any person who has got at least the qualities of demigods, which means the mode of goodness, only such a person can have the darshan of Narada Muni. That is why it's called Deva Darshana. And herein we see Kamsa is going to have darshan, which means he is not in the level of demigods, correct? But still Narada is so merciful. He is the mercy representation of the Lord, that he comes down and allows Kamsa also to have his darshan. In that case, even we see Krishna is giving darshan to Kamsa, no? So in the same way, the devotees are even more merciful than the Lord himself. So Krishna, Narada makes himself available in the palace of Kamsa, and he gives the darshan. He gives his darshan to Kamsa. And then the first thing he starts, oh Kamsa, I'm very sorry, you are completely cheated. Then Kamsa was wondering, what are you saying, Narada Muni? He says, you have been completely cheated because you are thinking that Yashoda Mata, that the 8th child which has been born to your sister Devaki is a girl baby. Because now we know that in the 8th child, the Durga Mata was transferred from Yashoda's place to Krishna's Mathura prison. So you are thinking that the girl has been born as the 8th child, whereas the 8th child of Devaki is a boy child. And this child has been taken by Vasudeva. He has been carried from the jail of Mathura and he has been transferred to Vrindavan. And there they have given the child to Yashoda, and they have taken the child which was born. The daughter which was been born to Yashoda was carried by Vasudeva, and in this way, Vasudeva has completely cheated you. Then Kamsa, I couldn't believe Vasudeva has cheated me, because Vasudeva, you all know, he is a personification of truth. Because even at the beginning of the pastime, we know that the first instance was Kamsa's sister Devaki was getting married. Kamsa said, because she is my sister, I will only drive the chariot. So he drove the chariot, and then there was the Akashvani, which called him Abudha. That is why whenever I remember this word Abudha, then he is calling Abudha, hey fool, what are you doing? You are just trying to drive the chariot of your own sister, whose 8th child is going to be a messenger of death for you. He is going to kill you. That's what the Ashariri says. Then immediately Kamsa becomes agitated, and then he picks up his sword. Now, this is the quality of this is the demoniac nature. It is not only the quality of Kamsa. Many of us have this nature, the demon. Immediately we move from one emotion to the other emotion, just like the pendulum is moving from this extreme to that extreme. So Kamsa got so much of agitation, and then he picks up his sword, and then Vasudeva, and then tries to pacify him, saying that she is your sister. On the marriage day, you are not supposed to kill a woman, and that too your own sister you're trying to kill. This is not good. And then Vasudeva gives a promise to Kamsa that only the 8th child is going to kill, I will give you all the children who are born to me. The moment they are born, I will come and hand them over to you. You do whatever you want to do with them. So this is a promise which is given by Vasudeva to save himself from that particular situation. And then Kamsa had so much confidence in Vasudeva that he said, okay, this person will do. And he allowed. And then what happened? The children were born, even though they were put in the jail. And then the child was born, and we can see that Vasudeva, once the first child was born, Vasudeva carries the first child. He was named as Kirtiman. He carries the child and brings the child to Kamsa. And hence he says, you can do whatever you want with the child. This is the first child that has been born. Then Kamsa was completely astonished. Who is the father?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes,
Mataji,
Mataji.
please put your video on, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam, Mataji.
Okay, video, where I will put 1 minute. I'm lost somewhere. I'm in the screen. 1 minute.
And requesting all other Matajis to please turn mute their sound, their mics to mute, please.
Video. Okay, I got it. Can you see now?
Hare Krishna Mataji, maybe the screen
Yes,
Mataji. It's coming? Okay.
Yes, it is. Vijaya Mataji, can you please turn your mic on, because there's a lot of disturbance from there. Thank you.
Okay, everybody please mute your mics and videos. Okay. So this is the way this Kamsa, Vasudeva was very truthful to hand over his first child to Kamsa. So then Kamsa at that time he became very, how is it possible that a personality, a father, the newborn child is coming, he's bringing the newborn child to me, and he knows that I'm going to kill him. And then he becomes very merciful at that particular point of time. And then because this is again the effect of association with Vasudeva for some time, because Vasudeva is again a saintly personality. So he says, you take back the child. I don't want to do anything because only your 8th child is going to kill me. So let me wait for the 8th child. Now this child you can keep with you, like this he says. But Vasudeva, in the heart of hearts, he was not at all confident with his behavior of Kamsa. He knows that this person is a demonic. He keeps on changing his mind. He is fickle-minded. So at any time, he will ask me to bring back the child. With that mood, only Vasudeva goes back. And then at that time, again, our hero Narada appears. And then Narada comes to Kamsa. And then he says, what are you doing, Kamsa? Kamsa said, no, the first child is born. But I thought, the prophecy is only for the 8th child to kill me. So Vasudeva came with the child, but I returned. Then Narada became very angry with Kamsa. He said, Kamsa, what are you doing? You are a complete fool, I am telling you. You do not know. All these people are complete cheaters. They are all demigods who are disguised in the form of all these Vasudeva, Yashoda, all these things are there. So now what you should do is that, we see that you don't know. This counting of 1 to 8 can begin from back to top to bottom, or bottom to top. So if you just count from the first child also, it will be the 8th child. Or if you count from the 8th child, then it will, the 8th child is the first child if you count. Then this child will be the 8th child. Like this, he confused. And then you see, supposing he showed him a lotus flower, and then Kamsa, you see, this lotus has got so many petals in a circular manner. So supposing if you start from which petal you know is first, then which petal you know is 8th. It can be anything, because in a circle, anything can be any number. So that is why you should not get cheated by Vasudeva. So you should kill this child also. Like this, Narada Muni instigates, which means Narada is expediting the arrival of Krishna. So that is why he gives this advice to Kamsa. And then Kamsa, he says, okay, now bring the first child also back. Vasudeva already knew this. His mind is mentally prepared for that. So he gives the child, and this way we know that Kamsa kills all the children. So this, and then again Kamsa changes his mood. Again when Durga appears, Vasudeva has already left Krishna in Nanda Gokul, and then he brings the daughter, who is none other than Durga. Then seeing Durga rise in the sky when he is about to kill her, then Kamsa feels, oh, Durga, because these demons always have a great belief in Durga Mata. So they are worshippers of Durga. So he feels that how Durga Mata has become the child of Vasudeva, which means Vasudeva must be an exalted personality. So, and then again, he becomes very nice with Vasudeva. He falls at the feet of Vasudeva. And then he seeks forgiveness from Vasudeva. He tries to pacify Vasudeva. In this way, Kamsa's mood keeps changing here and there, just like a pendulum. This is the quality of a demonic nature. That is why Krishna says, Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo. That balanced mood, unless we develop, we can come nowhere near becoming a devotee of the Lord. So this is the way Kamsa does. So now Narada has given him the truth. Okay, now this Vasudeva, this Kamsa, Vasudeva has cheated you, and thus cheating we can understand it is a transcendental cheating, because even though Vasudeva is a very truthful personality, he wants to hand over all the children. In this case, Krishna himself told him as a child that please take me to Nanda Gokul. So on the orders of Krishna, now Vasudeva thought that this order directly from the Lord is worth following than trying to follow my own moral of that being truthful and all. No, like even though it is Krishna, I have given the promise, so I will go and hand over. No, this he did not follow. He followed the transcendental morality. So this is what the lesson we have to understand, that even in the case of Arjuna and Yudhishthira, you can see that Krishna told Yudhishthira that you just tell some lie that Ashwatthama has been killed. But we know that Yudhishthira was hesitating. And then Ashwatthama, Hataha, Kunjaraha. At that time, he said, I will only tell what is truth. So Krishna has to arrange for one another elephant called Ashwatthama to be killed. And then when he was announcing Ashwatthama, Hataha, and Kunjaraha, and when he was telling that it was an elephant, then Krishna has to blow his conch shell so that this will not be understood. So in order to kill Drona, so this Krishna devised a plan and ordered, but Yudhishthira was not prepared to 100% accept the plan of Krishna, because he was thinking that my moral duty of being a truthful speaker, no, whatever I speak, I should speak only the truth. Even if Krishna says, no, that doesn't work that way, because dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Whatever Krishna tells, dharma, sana, that is the eternal dharma we have to follow. If it is overriding the normal moral principles we follow, we have to just override it. But in this case, we saw that is why we saw that Yudhishthira's chariot, which was always above the ground, it came down. That is what we read in Mahabharata. Because this transcendental morality or following Krishna is more important than our own rules and regulations of being a good speaker, being truthful and other things. So here Vasudeva became a transcendental moralist. And then what he did, he accepted the order of Krishna. And then even though it was a cheating, it was a transcendental cheating, he carried, in order to protect Krishna, he carried Krishna there. So now, when this Narada told this, that Vasudeva has cheated and all, again Kamsa became extremely angry. And then he said, now again he took up the sword. He said, now I am going to kill off this Vasudeva. Now what is he thinking? Like that he took up the sword. And then Narada has to pacify him again. He said, what is the use of killing Vasudeva and Devaki now? Now your target is Krishna and Balarama, because Krishna is going to kill you. Now he is raised as the son of Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan. So what you have to do is make all arrangements to kill Krishna and Balarama. Otherwise, if you kill Nanda, this Vasudeva and Devaki, what will Krishna do? He will run away from the situation. You just know, in order to instigate Kamsa, Narada is telling, he will run away from the situation. Then you will never be able to catch Krishna and Balarama. You please be focused on your goal. Don't divert yourself. In this way, Narada, then he said, you make all arrangements for Krishna and Balarama to be brought to Mathura here, and then kill them in your home ground. This is the advice given by Narada to Kamsa. Then Narada accepts his advice, and in order to show his anger, even though he didn't kill Vasudeva, but he said, I put them under iron shackles, because he released them. Once the Durga Mata appeared, no, he offered obeisances to Vasudeva, and then he released them. But now again, because of great anger, she shackled them, put them into iron bars again behind the bars, and they completely shackled and put them into the prison. And then now the question arises in our mind, why is Narada doing all this? The situation as it seems to be okay. Okay, Vasudeva and Devaki are there. Anyway, they were not in the prison that time. So everything seems to be normal. Why is Narada coming and creating all this confusion? And then why he is precipitating things and doing like this? This question may arise in our mind. But we have to understand what are the qualities of Narada Muni and why he is doing all these activities. Now we know that Krishna has been in Vrindavan for 10 years now. Krishna is already 10 years old. And Devaki and Vasudeva are separated from Krishna right from the day of their birth. That was the first time they had darshan of Krishna. After that, they never had the darshan of their own child. For 10 years, Krishna was away from them. Now, is it not time Narada Muni felt, because Narada Muni is a mercy incarnation of the Lord, he felt that this Vasudeva and Devaki should have a darshan of their child. They should spend some time with the child. Because as you know, Yashoda and Nanda had been so fortunate to have all the pastimes Krishna did in Vrindavan. They were the only persons who enjoyed nicely. Whereas Devaki couldn't even feed her child. Nothing she could do. That is why in South Indian, the Sri Vaishnava tradition, there is one Alvar, Kulsekar Alvar, who has written the Mukundamala. He has written one Prabandham. It says Devaki in Pulambal. Pulambal means Devaki is crying. Why I couldn't have, or why I couldn't feed my child, why I couldn't see my child walk, why I couldn't see my child speak. All these, she is crying. That lamentation is being expressed in the form of a beautiful poetry by Kulsekar Alvar in Tamil. So in this way, they should be pacified now. They should be relieved from the shackles. They should have a nice life. This is the intention. And then there are so many wonderful pure devotees in Mathura who are waiting to have darshan of Krishna. And then there are so many asuras in Mathura and other places, and then Kurukshetra, war is to be there. Then Hastinapura, Pandavas are waiting to be saved. All these interactions of Krishna are bound to happen. So if this has to happen, then Krishna has to wind up his Vraja Leelas now, and he has to take up the Mathura Leela. So this was the intention of Narada, to precipitate things and all these things to happen. So he did not do anything wrong. Even in telling that you kill all these 6 children, Narada Muni was not doing any disservice, because all these 6 children had a curse that they had to be killed by Kamsa. Kalanemi was taken in the form of Kamsa. So they have to be killed and they have to go back to their heavenly region, which means they are going to actually get liberated or delivered by being killed by Kamsa. This Narada Muni is a Trikala Muni, Trikalagnya. He knows the past, present, and future. And because he knew this, he gave an advice in this way. So he was not doing any disservice. He doesn't have any ill will towards. Now we can ask the question. So in this way, Vasudeva was not affected because of Narada Muni's action. Actually, he gained. The 6 children who were killed, they gained. And what about Kamsa? Now Kamsa is going to be killed. Now, but the thing we have to understand is that Krishna is called in the Bhagavatam as Asambhavaya. If you go to Canto 2, I think it is chapter 4, text 13, 2:4:13. If you can see, the word used is Asambhavaya. Asambhavaya means cessation of further unhappiness. And Prabhupada writes is that Krishna is a destroyer of further advances in atheistic temperament of non-devotee demons. Supposing if Kamsa is left like this, then what he will do? He will keep on doing the atrocities because he is completely cruel. So his sinful activities, just like we saw on the mountain of suns. Since we were seeing, his mountain will become so strong, it will be difficult to get rid of all the sins. So in order to put a full stop and to give deliverance, because the killing of Kamsa is going to be a deliverance for Kamsa again. So in this way, this is also a service done to Kamsa by Narada. So the children were not affected. Vasudeva is going to gain, Kamsa is going to gain, Krishna is also going to gain, because Krishna's plan for coming here is Paritranaya Sadhunam, Vinashaya Dushtutam, Dharma Samsthapanarthaya, Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. That is the purpose or the mission for which Krishna has come. And Krishna has got the script that this is what I have to do now. And this script is known internally to Narada Muni, because the pure devotees have no other plan other than the plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We see in Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter, 34th verse, if you go, Prabhupada writes in the purport, 11:34 of Bhagavad Gita. You can see in the screen also now, every plan is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he is so kind and merciful to his devotees that he wants to give the credit to his devotees who carry out his plan according to his desire. Now, Narada gets the credit of winding up the Braja Leela and beginning with the Mathura Leela. Life should therefore move in such a way that everyone acts in Krishna consciousness and understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of a spiritual master. The plans of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are understood by his mercy, and the plans of the devotees are as good as his plans. One should follow such plans and be victorious in the struggle for existence. So, which means the plan of Narada Muni, he is not different from the plan of Krishna. So, which means they are on the same page. Krishna and Narada Muni, as being a pure devotee, he is on the same page with Krishna. So, that is why in the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, you can see this verse. This verse is spoken by Vasudeva to Narada Muni, glorifying Narada Muni. If Vasudeva has been affected by Narada Muni, he would not have spoken this verse. He says, Bhagavan Bhagavato Yatyatra Swastaye Sarvadehinam Kripananam Yatha Pitror Uttama Shloka Vartmanam. Vasudeva said, my Lord, your visit, like that of a father to his children, is for the benefit of all living beings. You especially help the most wretched among them, as well as those who are advanced on the path towards the Supreme Lord. So he helps even the wretched. And then again he says, Bhutanam Deva Charitam Dukhaya cha Sukhaya cha Sukhaya iva hi sadhunam Twadrisham Achyutatmanam. See, he makes a nice comparison between the pure devotee and even the demigods. He goes to the extent of comparing them with the demigods. He says, Bhutanam Deva Charitam, the activities of the demigods. The activities of the demigods lead to both misery and happiness for the living beings. Because if we pray to demigods, we may get something quick, but it is actually based on our own karma. But the activities of great saints like you, who have accepted the infallible Lord as their very soul, result only in the happiness of all beings. So whatever the pure devotees do, there is no mixture of happiness and distress there. It is sheer happiness only. And that is why they are called Titikshabaha Karunikaha Suhridam Sarvadehina. So Narada Muni does everything. See, in one stroke of coming and advising Kamsa to bring Krishna and Balarama from Vrindavana to Mathura, how many people are benefited just by this one simple activity of Narada Muni? Everyone is benefited. It is for the welfare of everybody. So this is why we cannot understand the activities of the pure devotees by seeing with our external material eyes. So only through the scriptures and through the Shastra Chakshu we can understand that every act done by the pure devotee is for the welfare. So now this is done, and now Kamsa, now he has to take the next step now. Now Kamsa now knows. Now Krishna and Balaram are to be killed. Now he now makes 1, 2, 3, plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, because he is a great diplomat, strategist, expert politician he is. First thing he does is that he calls a meeting of his ministers. You know what overall his ministers? Chanura, Mushtika, Shala, Toshala. All these wrestlers are his ministers. Then what will happen by consulting them, you can imagine. And then he goes on, he will say to Akrura also later, no, who are all my friends, he will boast. Jarasandha is my friend, Banasura is my friend, Shambarasura is my friend. Like this he will say. So this our Maharaj is so merciful, he says, Kamsa by his own is very good. Because of association only he was affected. So that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, in Chaitanya Madhya Leela 22.91, how important it is to have good association. Varam Hutavaha Jwala Panjarantarvyavasthitihi Nashauri Chinta Vimukha Jana Samvasa Vaishasam. He says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, it is better to accept the miseries of being encaged within bars and surrounded by burning flames. See, encaged within bars is difficult. Now we are all, homebound because of the lockdown. That itself is very difficult. He says, it is better to accept the misery of being engaged within bars and surrounded by burning flames than to associate with those bereft of Krishna consciousness. Such association is a very great hardship. So Kamsa in such an association, and then he consulted all these bad people association, and they gave their own ideas, And then with that idea, first plan A, he said, now even though now I'm going to arrange for Krishna and Balaram to come here and kill, now I have 2 more asuras left in my cupboard. And who are all there? Keshi is there and Vyomasura is there. So first I will try Keshi. I will send Keshi and then let me see whether he is able to tackle Krishna now. And then second plan, he says, now I will arrange for a wrestling match here in Mathura. A big wrestling arena will be constructed, a big auditorium where so many people will be invited from all the other villages and everywhere. And then the Chanura and Mushtika will do the wrestling match. And then these people are very, very strong fellows. They will definitely kill Krishna and Balaram. And then for a safety alternative plan C, he calls the elephant keepers. And then he has got a big elephant called Kuvalayapida, who is very, very strong. And then he calls, and then he said he will be placed at the entrance of the wrestling arena, so that if Krishna comes, Kuvalayapida himself will kill Krishna. If that doesn't happen, then he will come to the wrestling match, and then Chanura Mushtika will take care. So and then he says, now I will arrange a big bow sacrifice. The Shiva Dhanus or the bow will be kept, and then all the puja will be done for the Shiva Dhanus. And then in that way, it will be like a celebration outwardly, but inwardly, it will be my plan to kill Krishna and Balaram. So he wanted to present himself as a nice man who is performing a big yajna. So this is all the arrangements he made. And then the next thing he does is that he goes and meets our hero of the whole thing, who is Akrura. And then he comes and meets an Akrura. There are beautiful verses how he diplomatically speaks to Akrura. And Akrura, as we all know, is again a relative of Krishna, because he is a paternal uncle of Krishna. So the Kamsa knows that Akrura is a very gentle personality. So if he goes and he will speak in nice manner, that Krishna will definitely agree to come. He had a lot of confidence in Akrura's way of conveying the message. That is why messenger has got to have certain qualifications. He should know how to deal, how to speak nicely in order to attract the other party, like that. So Akrura had all these abilities. And then he is going, Bhagavatam says in 27th verse, he knows the advance, securing personal advantage, and he took Akrura's hand in his own hand, and then he begins to speak. See, he holds Akrura's hand with his hands, nicely, when we go to meet our friends, we just hold their hands and speak our heart out. Like that gesture he is doing. And then he says, Bhogo Danapate Mahyam Kriyatam Maitra Madritaha Nanyastvatto Hidatamo Vidyate Bhoja Vrishnishu. He says, Akrura, there is no one else in this whole dynasty who is as the well-wisher for me other than you, because everybody has run away in fear of me. You are the only person remaining with me among the Bhojas and Vishnus. So you are kind to me. So I request one thing from you, gentle Akrura. You always carry out your duties soberly. See, this is the praise which this cruel boss is giving to his employee, who is Akrura. You are doing your duties soberly. This is what we have to understand, that even though in the material world we may be forced to work under vicious living entities, our bosses may not be very good. But Maharaj says how we should work in such a situation. See, we can see in the here we can see in the document, concentration in work is Krishna. Maharaj says concentration in work is Krishna. Before going to work, we should offer obeisances to the deity, seeking permission from them to leave, and at work we must concentrate. Doesn't mean that during the work I'm not able to remember Krishna. We should not. There is no need to get agitated. We don't see that Arjuna is shooting the arrows every time. Hare Krishna, he is chanting and then shooting the arrows. Then Prabhupada writes that he concentrated fully on the particular job which has been assigned to him. So this is what we have to do. Seeking permission from them to leave, and at work we must concentrate only on work and do it very immaculately and sincerely. If your boss is pleased, then Krishna is pleased. So here we can see that Akrura's boss Kamsa is pleased, so Krishna is definitely pleased. As soon as we return home, we should bow down before the deity, thanking the Lord for the day, quickly refresh and try to steal time to take shelter of scripture. This is a practical instruction which our Maharaj gives. So this is the way Akrura is appreciated by Kamsa, and then he says that I am depending on you, just as powerful Indra took shelter of Lord Vishnu to achieve his goals. Please go to Nanda's village, where the 2 sons of Anaka Dundubi are living, and without delay bring them here on this chariot. And the Acharyas comment that Akrura, Kamsa provides a new chariot, brand new chariot. He provides to Akrura and said, Akrura, take this brand new chariot and go and bring the children. So this Kamsa is thinking within his heart that, okay, Akrura is now going. No, he will be very much attracted if I give him, and then just like office, now they say, I will book the business class ticket for you to go to America. So then people get attracted, by all these material benedictions. And then even though it is a very tough job, because we have been provided with a first-class business to get officially, we can go and see there, go on a tour there. With all these incentives, we try to take up the job and then we go. Actually, they are throwing a net to catch us. We don't know. So we fall into this net of Maya. So like this, Kamsa is thinking that if I give this nice chariot, new chariot, Akrura will be attracted with a new chariot. But whereas the Acharya's comment that Akrura agreed to take the new chariot, not because he was interested in having the new car or a new Mercedes-Benz or Lamborghini or whatever it is to drive. He thought that why should I go and bring Krishna in a chariot which has been already used by Kamsa, which means it is a remnant of Kamsa. And Kamsa, as we know, is not a very good personality. So Krishna deserves to have a brand new chariot to travel. And we only deserve to take the remnants of Krishna's prasadam, not Kamsa prasadam. So that is why there's a beautiful verse. What is the benefit of accepting the remnants of Krishna's prasadam? Anything. 11:646. This is a nice verse to learn and even by heart. Vayopabhukta Shragandha. This is Uddhava is speaking. Vayopabhukta Shragandha Vasolankara Chachidaha Uttishta Bhojino Dasas Tava Mayam Jayemahi. What will happen if you take the remnants of Krishna's garland or his clothes or whatever it is? It says, simply by decorating ourselves with the garlands, fragrant oils, clothes, and ornaments that you have already enjoyed, and by eating the remnants of your meals, we, your servants, will indeed conquer your illusory energy. That is why we have to understand that whenever the moment we take prasadam, the moment we accept the flowers from Krishna, the moment we accept the lamp which is offered to Krishna, what is happening is that we are conquering the illusory energy. Tava Maya Jayemahi. Certainly, he means certainly we will conquer over the illusory energy just by accepting the remnants. So in this way, Akrura agreed that, okay, Krishna will get a brand new chariot, and then later we can accept the remnants. And then the demigods, then he Kamsa begins to boast. Once you bring them here, what I will do? And then after this, I will kill this Ugrasena, my father. I will kill Vasudeva and all the lamenting relatives, Vrishni, Boja, Dasarhas, everybody I will kill. And these are all thorns on the earth, and I will remove everybody. And then I have my friend Jarasandha, Dhambara, Naraka, Bana, everybody is there. And I will kill with them, with their help, I will kill everybody. And then I will rule the earth. So this is a typical representation of demonic mentality which Krishna speaks in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Idam adyamaya labdham imam prapsye manoratam idam astidam apime bhavishyati punardanam asau maya hatash shatrur hanishye cha paranapi ishvaroham aham bhogi siddhoham balavan sukhi adhyo vijanavan asmi konyosti sadrisho maya yakshye dasyami modishya ityajnana vimohitaha. This is the way Krishna, just like the demonics planning, this is my wealth, I will earn more wealth, I will do this, I will do that, I will enjoy this. Like this, he's making so many plans. We also made so many plans, and just a small corona just shattered, decimated all our plans. So that is why Lord Shiva says, Pramatta Mucchail iti kritya chintaya pravruddha lobam vishayeshu lalasam. So apramatta, Krishna is very, very alert. We are all not alert. We are thinking that we are alert, but Krishna is the only alert personality who catches us just like a snake catches a mouse inside. So in this way, then Akrura agrees, and then Akrura said, okay, and then he speaks two beautiful verses which are very, very important before we undertake any endeavor. The children, especially the children or the younger generation, should be taught today. Recently, we saw, that one young personality in the cinema, Bollywood, he committed suicide. So this is because that Radheshyam Prabhu says this is because he doesn't have Krishna consciousness. There's the only reason he does this. So these two verses, any endeavor we undertake, the children are going to college or children are looking for jobs. These two things, whatever endeavors we are making, and with that endeavor, these two verses which should be with us. Shri Akrura Uvacha, he says to Akrura, he says to Kamsa, Rajan Manishitam Sadriyak Tava Swavadyamarjanam Siddhya Siddhyo Samam Kuryat Daivam Hi Palasadhanam. You are thinking that you are making all the plans, but this results, it is not in your hands, he says. Daivam Hi Palasadhanam. He says, O king, you have expertly devised a process to free yourself of the misfortune. Still, one should be equal in success and failure, since it is certainly destiny that produces the results of one's work. So He's indirectly, Akrura is telling that you may propose certain things, but unless Krishna desires or Krishna sanctions, Krishna's disposal is there, Krishna will dispose anything of your plans. So this is what he says. And then in 39 he says, Manorathan karot yucchair jano daiva hatanapi yujyate harsha shokabhyam tatapi agyam karomite. An ordinary person is determined to act on his desires, even when fate prevents their fulfillment. Therefore, he encounters both happiness and distress. Yet, even though such is the case, I will execute your order. So he says, he knows, Akrura knows internally, he is very, very confident that now Kamsa is going to be killed. But still he says externally to him that ordinary person, is, which means a foolish person, is determined to act on his desires. Supposing we have some desire, we are determined to somehow get it fulfilled. So one plan doesn't work, plan A doesn't work, I'll have plan B. Plan B doesn't work, I have plan C. Like this, we go on making plans, even though the fate prevents their fulfillment. So that is why Maharaj used to say, Sahaj milado doodh barabar. So when we do something, when something comes to us easily, it is equal to good milk, Then, Angliyato pani. Supposing we get it by great demand, something, it is not like milk, it comes to the second category, it is just like water. But it is like, wo rakt barabar, icha pani. Supposing if we get something with all, like plan A is not there, plan B, plan C, plan D, somehow or the other, I will, even though so many obstructions are coming, the fate is preventing me from getting it. It is not within Krishna's plans, but somehow or the other, I will endeavor so much. If we go to that extent, then it is just like blood. It doesn't help us in any way. Even if we obtain it, it will not help us. Just like Chitraketu, he was destined not to have a child, but he forced that I should have a child. And then when the child came, what happened? Ultimately, the child was killed. So that is why this verse Maharaj says is very important for us to meditate. 4th canto, 19th chapter, 34th verse. Now Kamsa is adamant, he doesn't understand Krishna's plan. So they say, this is the verse spoken by Lord Brahma to Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj wanted to perform 100 yajnas. But after he performed 99 yajnas, Indra came in so many forms, in the form of sannyasi, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and he stole the horse from this. And so Prithu could not complete his yajna. So that is why Brahma says, now stop, Prithu Maharaj, you are a nice personality. You understand things. That is why I'm telling you, giving you the advice. So what is the advice he's giving? Masmin Maharaja Krithasma Chintam Nishamayasmad Vacha Adritatma Yadhyayato Daivahatannu Kartum Mano Tirushtam Vishate Tamondam. My dear king, do not be agitated and anxious because your sacrifices have not been properly executed due to providential impediments. Kindly take my words with great respect. We should always remember that if something happens by providential arrangement, we should not be very sorry. I'm telling this to myself. If something happens by providential arrangement, we should not be very sorry. The more we try to rectify such reversals, the more we enter into the darkest region of materialistic thought. So this is what Kamsa was trying to do. To again and again, somehow or the other, he's the thought that I will kill Krishna. And so now Akrura has agreed. Now what is the time, Mataji? How much time left? Hare Krishna.
Another 10 minutes, Mataji.
Okay, now we will close it now. So now already Akrura has agreed on the mission. He gives some beautiful these 2 verses to Kamsa, but Kamsa is not going to understand anything. He is feeling that Akrura is encouraging him, so he feels very confident. So now, Krishna willing, in the next class, Krishna willing, we will see how Narada Muni goes and speaks to Krishna also. Now, what are all the pastimes Krishna is going to do? He will list nicely. He will list all the future pastimes of Krishna in the next chapter. Then, after seeing that, immediately we will go to Akrura's journey of Akrura's arrival in Vrindavan, the journey which he undertakes, and how nicely he meditates while undertaking the journey. That will be the main topic where we will see verse by verse. We will go and try to understand the mood of Akrura. Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry for taking the time. So, if you want to share anything, you can please. Maybe you can open your videos also for some time.